Good day, everybody. By request, this is one decade personal history in just 5 minutes. Okay, let's go. The military dictatorship in Uruguay lasted 11 long years, between 1973 and 1984, and was characterized as a very hard period for the daily life of the population. It was the only military dictatorship that the country had in its long lasting democratic history, which began in 1904. During all that time, Uruguay was governed by the two traditional political parties, conservatives and liberals, that alternated in power every 4 years. Starting with the Communist Revolution in Cuba in 1959, and as a consequence of the influence that it had in all the countries of America, a period of political instability began throughout the 1960s, along with the formation of new democratic left-wing parties, as well as the birth of an anti-democratic left-wing guerrilla that initiated a direct and armed action against the institutions of the state. However, between 1969 and 1972, this guerrilla was definitely controlled and defeated by the state police security system. But in that same period, the imperial and interventionist action of the United States in the middle of the Cold War against the Soviet Union began to favor and encourage an open struggle against all the guerrilla groups in Latin America, many of them already in power and some others on the way to achieve it. Richard Nixon's government then began to develop and put into practice a hemispheric plan called the Condor Plan, through which several extreme right-wing military dictatorships were installed in power. Regardless of the profound differences between the Uruguayan process and the rest of the countries of the South, the Condor Plan included among its objectives the armed forces of Uruguay, which were involved in the overthrow of the legal government and its substitution by the armed forces themselves. That happened on the 9th of February of 1973. Unfortunately, during the long decade the regime lasted, the vast majority of the population that did not support either the guerrilla left or the coup ultra-right had to endure great changes in their liberal and democratic lifestyle. Personally, I was 21 years old when this happened, and I saw my life roughly changed in several aspects. At that time, I worked in a hospital, and at night, I studied at the College of Engineering of the University of the Republic. In mid-1973, a direct action group that operated within the campus facilities and was dedicated to assembling explosive devices to carry out attacks against the regime was shaken by a bomb that exploded out of time, killing a student and injuring two others in the same college building. The college was closed by the regime and it took 18 months to reopen. That cut short my career forever because, having got married recently, I needed to work more hours to get ahead. My father, who was barely 52, was dismissed and fired from the factory where he used to work just because he belonged to a union that had challenged the regime by supporting a general strike. At his age, it was impossible for him to get a new job, and for that reason, he had to retire early with a very, very low pension. Daily life changed completely, especially in the early years. Young people could not go out into the street or go to high schools with long hair or too short skirts. Several expressions and words from the dictionary were banned, prohibited from pronouncing in public due to their controversial content, such as people, progressivism, unity, dictatorship, dawn, sunshine, rebirth, hope, or new day, and especially the underground and popular phrase, "it'll be over soon." Fortunately, Thanks to the internal action of the three democratic parties of Uruguay, as well as a change in the international position of the North American government, which no longer favored the right wing dictatorship in the South, the situation changed radically in 1984, the year in which the first democratic elections of the new period took place. And according to the Uruguayan tradition, it continues interrupted until today, 30 years later. For all these reasons, Uruguay has once again become, along with Canada, one of the two most democratic countries on the continent. About the Human Development Standard rates established by the UN compared with countries such as Costa Rica, Chile, and the United States itself. Thank you.